Good evening, my dear students. We are now looking at 201, and the text that I'm going to be talking about is Ode on Solitude by Alexander Pope. Of course, you already know Alexander Pope. You know the age in which he lived. So for a quick recap, remember, it's the neoclassical age. Why did we call it the neoclassical age? We have to remember something about the classical age so that we know that this was called the neoclassical age. Satire was an important part of the writings in this period. The neoclassical age also was the age of the beginnings of the novel. There was a lot of poetry, very little drama. We refer to it sometimes also as the age of Pope, because Pope, after all, was an important poet of this period. So Alexander Pope, 1688 to 1744, started writing poetry quite early in life. And it's interesting to note that this poem, Ode on Solitude, was probably his first poem in the period in which he was interested in the pastorals. This poem was written in 1700 when he was only 12 years old. Ode on Solitude. But of course, his better known works like The Rape of the Lock, remember? The mock epic that you have certainly heard about. We also have Dunciad, a great satire, and we have his essay on man, just to mention a few of them. But let me first read out to you the poem, Ode on Solitude. Ode on Solitude by Alexander Pope. Happy the man whose wish and care a few paternal acres bound, content to breathe his native air in his own ground, whose herds with milk, whose fields with bread, whose flocks supply him with attire, whose trees in summer yield him shade, in winter fire. Blessed who can unconcernedly find hours, days, and years slide soft away, in health of body, peace of mind, quiet by day, sound sleep by night, study and ease together mixed, sweet recreation and innocence, which most does please with meditation. Thus let me live, unseen, unknown, thus unlamented let me die, steal from the world, and not a stone tell where I lie. Isn't it interesting to think of a 12-year-old talking about solitude, talking about anonymity, and by a strange quirk of fate, Pope was anything but anonymous. Pope, remember, was a great, great poet. So not being known, not a stone tell where I lie, was impossible. But let's begin at the beginning of the poem. What does the poet talk about? The poet talks about the simple pleasures of life. In fact, I would even say that he talks about the simple needs of life. What does a man really need? He's talking about being self-sufficient, growing enough for his needs so that he's not dependent on anyone. Of course, you'll agree that the scene is rural. Remember the Industrial Revolution, which was yet to come. So people still did love living in the rural areas. Many of Pope's poems do bring us to the urban landscape, to urban life, to urban people and experiences, as I just mentioned in one of his poems, The Rape of the Lock, right? But in this poem, Ode on Solitude, it's all about simple rural living. Have a quick look at the poem again, and you will not find a single word for which you require the meaning. Let's look at it line by line. Who is happy? According to Pope, in this poem, happy the man, he begins by saying, such a man is happy, whose paternal acres. He's not going out to earn more money and buy more land and become a great landlord. What does he have? A few paternal acres. That means he's inherited from his parents, from his father, in his family, a few acres. And where is it? It's in his native place. He lives in the village. He doesn't go, he doesn't shift. He doesn't move from place to place. He's not nomadic by nature. He's happy to be in his native land. Breathe the air which he knows. So he's got some land, and along with land, what does he have? He has herds. He has his own cattle. What does the farmer need after all? He needs some milk. He needs some wool, right? All this is there in what he has inherited. So his herds supply him with milk. He grows enough to have his own food. So his fields give him the bread. So the flour, the wheat, the maize, whatever it is. The flocks supply him with wool also. So his winter needs are taken care of. He's got enough trees on his own land. So when it's hot and he needs shade, he can rest under the trees. Winters are harsh and cold in England, and therefore he would need firewood. That too he can get from the trees that he has. Just see, my dear students, how simple his needs are and how self-sufficient he is. Because all that he requires, he finds that he has it with his own land, his own flock, his own herds, his own trees. So how does his life go on? Very simple. Seconds, minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, years, they all go by unconcernedly. No tension that we talk of in the 21st century. Simple living with minimum needs, with self-sufficiency. So the days seem to roll one into the other without any kind of problem. Physically fit, because he's working on his land. And because he has no tension, there's peace of mind too. So the days just drift by, happily, unconcernedly, whether it's the day or the night. In the day he is quiet, in the night he sleeps soundly, because he has no worries. And he has worked hard. The physical labor, makes him tired enough to want to sleep. So the days and nights go by peacefully. How does he live? Does he want fame? Does he want popularity? Does he want people to sing his praises? Pope says, no, I want to live unseen, unknown. I don't want people to sing my praise. I don't want great awards. I don't want prizes. I don't want to stand on the stage and be complimented and rewarded and praised. How do I want to go? I want to live unseen and unknown. Probably there's not going to be a huge funeral for me, so I might be unlamented because I'm not a great person. So I would die unlamented. I don't even want a memorial, not a stone tell where I lie. A very simple poem. The structure too is very simple, with a simple A-B rhyme scheme. If you see, you can count the syllables and you would notice that in the last two stanzas there's an additional syllable. I leave that to you to find out because it's so simple. And the rhyme scheme too is a very simple rhyme scheme. A simple poem, a simple theme, but something that we should all learn to appreciate. So your questions, of course, On our website, you can find them, but very quickly, simple questions. What are the pleasures that he looks forward to? Where does he get what he needs? How does he want to die? And maybe one question on what is the literary quality of this poem. Ode on Solitude by Alexander Pope is what we just talked about. Happy reading, happy studying, and all the best.